Hi, Dr. Matthew Weiner from Commerce, Michigan, author of the book A Pound of Cure, here to talk to you about artificial sweeteners. A very common question I get in my office, and a very common source of misunderstanding is whether or not artificial sweeteners are fattening. Do they cause weight gain or not? The answer, I believe, is yes, and I'm going to explain to you how they work so that you have an understanding of what these substances do, and at the end we'll give you a few tips on how you can eliminate them from your diet. So if we're going to start any meaningful conversation about weight loss, we have to recognize that weight loss is not a matter of simple math. And this video, the slide that I've got right here about the calories consumed versus the calories burned, that is not an accurate way to look at weight loss. No other part of a biologic system works on simple addition and subtraction. They all work on feedback and a complicated interplay of multiple hormones that work to keep the system under tight control. And with weight loss, it's the exact same way. So if we're going to look at weight loss, we have to abandon this. And this is where artificial sweeteners have gotten a free ride. Because they don't have or contain any calories, we've assumed that they don't cause weight gain. But I'm going to show you how they do, and this is really becoming backed up by more and more science that explains this whole process. So if we're going to recognize this, we have to understand that weight loss is driven by biology. And this is this complicated system that helps to keep our weight around the same and allows us to not weigh 10 or 15 pounds more over a period of 3 months, but rather keep our weight fairly similar, where weight gain is a very slow and steady process. And what we find is that when we restrict our calorie intake, just cut back on the number of calories, not changing the content of our diet, not eating more fruits and vegetables or eliminating grains, but just eating smaller portions of the same food, we'll starve ourselves away from this set point, and our body has a reaction. Our hunger will increase, our metabolism will decrease. We also notice the opposite thing, where if we eat too much, our body's going to respond by decreasing our appetite. And it's actually on this side that artificial sweeteners work, and I'll explain how that happens. If we're going to achieve weight loss, we've got to not fight against our set point, but we have to move our set point to a lower value. And that's what we talk about in A Pound of Cure, and that's what we do in our office at the Michigan Weight Management Institute, is work to move your set point to a lower level, rather than trying to get you to fight and maintain this appetite control and to somehow try to trick your metabolism through vigorous exercise into moving faster than it wants to do. In the war between you and your body and your physiology, you are going to lose every time. So we have to work with our physiology. We can't try to fight it if we're going to achieve weight loss. So now when we understand that this is about adjusting the set point to a lower level, and just because something doesn't have any calories, that does not mean that it does not have any metabolic effect. And the way artificial sweeteners work is a little bit complicated, but I'm going to try to simplify this so that you can understand it. If we're going to take a look at this, the first thing we should do is look at how we consume artificial sweeteners. We consume them primarily in the form of beverages. I have soft drinks here, but Crystal Light is very common, and other forms of these kind of artificially flavored beverages. That's the main way we do it. We also do it a lot with candy, which really essentially kind of turns into a liquid as we ingest them. But we primarily ingest artificial sweeteners in liquid form, and that's important because that does change how things are handled. Artificial sweeteners will impact our body's reaction to full sweetened foods. And so because this is a complicated dance, not a simple math problem, we have to look at this in a little more detail. And what we find is that regular use of artificial sweeteners changes the way your body reacts to full sweetened foods, to full sugar foods. And what I refer to this is the cookie effect. So what happens is by regularly taking in these artificial sweeteners, they're not benign. They trigger sensors in the intestine that feed back to the brain and cause metabolic changes. And if you separate calories from sweetness, which is exactly what artificial sweeteners do. The sweetness is there, but there's no calories. This pathway becomes very confused. Typically, if we eat a cookie, and again, I'm not suggesting you go out and eat a cookie to test this out, but if we eat a cookie, and that cookie contains around 150 calories, our metabolic thermostat is going to adjust on that overfed side, and you're going to see a decrease in your hunger and a slight increase in your metabolism in order to compensate for that. And that is how we kind of maintain this body weight over time. Or if we are gaining weight, it's typically relatively slowly. But artificial sweeteners are going to poison this pathway, so that when you do eat that cookie, it's not going to understand what to do, because sometimes it gets sweetness with calories, other times it gets sweetness without calories. It's not sure what to do. And it's going to err on the side of storing the calories as fat. Our body's always going to mistake, if it has two choices, it will always store fat rather than burn it. And so when we continue to confuse our brain with artificial sweeteners that trigger the taste buds, there's actually taste buds in the intestine, not just on the tongue, but they trigger these taste buds that feed back to the brain, but there's no calories. We get confused. And in the end, when we eat something with real sugar, and it probably even works like this for fruit, that you're going to end up storing it as fat. And so in the long run, they're going to drive weight gain. So artificial sweeteners break your metabolic thermostat. They particularly break this side of it, which is what allows you to kind of stray from your diet a little bit and not gain weight. And so regular use of artificial sweeteners are going to destroy some of this buffer that we have that allow our bodies to tolerate small amounts of processed food and not gain weight. And so as a result, I recommend my patients, first of all, to look at what we should be eating that is sweet, because a sweet taste is something that is hardwired into us. There's nothing on this planet that contains fructose, which is sweet, that is a toxin or a poison. So if you're out foraging and something tastes sweet, it's a sign that it's going to be edible. So fruit is a wonderful choice. And even though it does have calories, where the artificial sweetened beverages do not, the fruit is going to work to keep that metabolic thermostat healthy and to help to drive it down to a lower set point, where the artificial sweeteners are going to work to cause weight gain. I also like with patients to use fruit in water, and you can leave it overnight. Lemons and watermelon, pineapple, whatever suits your fancy. But these are also, they have a little bit of a sweet taste, but it's going to be much more of a natural fruit sugar, and it's not going to be nearly as fattening as the artificial sweeteners. Also, we have down here the iced tea makers. I think these are fantastic devices. And with herbal tea, you can make iced herbal tea very easily, and this is also a much better choice to artificially sweetened foods and beverages. And finally, caffeinated water, since a lot of people who have a diet pop habit do so because of the caffeine, by switching to a caffeinated water, and there's several brands down here that we can help you to maintain your caffeine habit, which really isn't all that bad for you, but drop the artificially sweetened pop. If you'd like to learn more about it, you can check out Station 3 in my book, A Pound of Cure, or go to our website at www.drmatthewweiner.com, our Facebook page at A Pound of Cure, or our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.